Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to give an update on Heath going back to his urologist and what they said about his cystoscostomy.
So I had to go see my urologist today. It was a follow-up appointment from back in October where I had the urinary tract infection and stuff. And they did a cystoscope, which basically they take a big light and run it down inside my bladder. He looked at it. He said it looks so good. And he looked at it and saw, he said everything looked good. He said he acted like he was really shocked that my bladder looked so good, and Ollie's over here just having a field day.
Yeah.
But he said my bladder looked really good. He said it's really good that you do intermittent catheter. He said because having an indwelling catheter and things like that causes more issues in your bladder and stuff. He said, but your bladder looks really good. He said your prostate looked good from this side. He checked my prostate from the other side. He said it was perfect, no signs of any kind of cancer or anything, no inflammation or nothing like that really. So everything turned out good. If you don't know what a cystoscope is, basically they shoot lidocaine down inside of your bladder to numb it up, and then they run a light that's attached to a tube down in there with a camera. And the crazy part about it was, I did not know it, but they throw all that equipment away. Every bit of it. The camera, the light, everything. She said, yeah, it's just, I talked to the nurse, and the nurse was like, it's just too much to have to clean up after every cystoscope, so we throw everything away. I was like, really? I said, even the camera and stuff? She was like, yeah. She said, everything. I said, I bet you it's expensive. She said,
just think about what they charge Medicaid for, or us. So that's crazy that they would do that. And by the way, Heath is laying down because he is tired from his journey.
Yeah.
He had to ride a good way to another town over, and so we just figured we would change it up and make everything look a little bit different. Ollie is wild. He missed his daddy, and then I had went out today, so he's kind of
wow. Crazy. Yeah, you wild, ain't you, buddy?
Yeah, wow.
But overall, I had a good report. Everything looks good. They scheduled me another follow-up appointment in 6 months with a physician's assistant, just to make sure there ain't nothing going on or anything like that. But yeah, I am leaning back. I was tired a little bit because this riding kind of bothers me a little bit. All that shaking around in the vehicle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, appointment turned out good. Got a good health report on my cystoscope. The doctor was pleased with everything. He said, "You looking good," and he sent me on my way packing. He said, "I'll see you again in 6 months."
Yeah, and you have that done every year, right?
I have it done once a year.
Yeah, once a year.
Have to go. And like he was saying, and one thing he was saying that I want to reiterate on, he said with me doing intermittent cathing is that it's much better for bladder health versus like a suprapubic or a Foley catheter that stays in your bladder all the time, because it introduces so many other issues, like so many other bladder issues, potential risk of infection and damage to your bladder as well, because it can cause irritation in your bladder and stuff like that. And again, like he said, my bladder looked. When he said your bladder looks good, and he said it looks really good. He said, you got some thickening of the walls of your bladder, which is to be expected with a neurogenic bladder. But he said everything looks really good for you.
Well, that time before when you were peeing blood, I know we had a different urologist in.
Yeah.
He had told me, and at that time Heath was only cathing at the beginning of his injury. They set it up for him to cath in morning and at night.
Yep.
And he said, you're telling me, he said, it's hard to believe that this man has been cathing for like 20-something years at that time.
Yeah.
And he said his bladder looked amazing for someone that cathed twice a day.
Yeah.
So now we cath every 4 to 6 hours because he had started getting a lot of UTIs. And we started, I guess when you got older, that's what caused you to have to cath more.
Well, and he said also today, over time, you know, just being paralyzed, your bladder is going to change and you have issues and stuff like that.
So before, when he first originally got paralyzed for 20 something years, he only had to calf twice a day because he was able to urinate and kind of semi-empty his bladder out great. And so he did good. He hardly had UTIs and stuff. But then his UTIs, he started getting a UTI that just would not go away. And so that's why we have to calf more, so to keep down on infections. You can still get infections from calving, so when you are calving, you want to make sure that you're being very sanitary and all those things, because you're introducing bacteria to the bladder each time. But from what I was told by the urologist, when you have a neurogenic bladder like Heath does, the more you calf is better as for like UTIs, preventing them, because the more you leave urine in the bladder, it can grow bacteria. Plus, you don't want to leave the urine in the bladder because it can back up to your kidneys and cause kidney failure as well. And we didn't know that. Like I said, a lot of things we have learned through the year have just been trial and error or learn as we go, you know. And so I just find it interesting that, you know, he changed as he got older and had to calf more. And because I see on social media and things like that, Ollie quit. So I see on social media and stuff that a lot of people calf every 4 to 6 hours, and maybe that's something that they train newer spinal cord injuries and stuff. And I find that interesting because that's not how they did with Heath. Now, as far as the suprapubic goes, I think it's a personal choice, or it may be a medical choice that has to be made. I don't know. But I've heard some people that I've talked to, like through groups and stuff, say it's a personal choice. Yeah. And then, like I said, I don't know a lot about suprapubics. Are they required sometimes for some people that are injured? I've heard some people say, well, it makes them feel less paralyzed or less disabled. But for us, we don't want to. And then there's downsides to suprapubics. A lot of different downsides. Not just bladder problems, but for sexual function and as well.
And sexual health as well.
Yes, sexual health. And so that's why we haven't chose that for us. Well, a lot of it's Heath's decision, not mine. And I think he likes to.
I like.
He likes his sex life, so.
Yes. But that was pretty much the update and what happened with me today at my doctor's appointment. And Ollie is about to lick me to death, as you can see.
We're sorry that Ollie, in the position he's at, Ollie he's like, no, I'm not. And we're just going to, even though it is a serious video, maybe it'll give some laughs as well on a light topic like this. Yeah. But we appreciate y'all, and we love everybody, and we can't wait to see you in our next video.
Much love, y'all.
Much love.